Thank you so much. Still the program here this morning on ITV. Yeah, tip of promo there just to get you along on the program. Well, I did say that we're going to be looking at Bayelsa and Kogi state election in retrospect. Stories here and there talking about violence, that have thrilled the election in the two states. And the big question is, were the electorates, all the parties involved, were they really ready for this election? Because when we talk about elections, violence and all that, it shows that one or two persons did not do his or her job well. It's possible that the electorates were not, really prepared for the election. And it's also possible that the body that conducts election in Nigeria, talking about INEC, has some questions to answer. Well, as we discuss the two elections in retrospect this morning, we are so privileged to have pharmacist Uji Oria here. He's a public affairs analyst and also a political analyst. So welcome to the program this morning on ITV. And also for quite some time now, we've not had the youth chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, Architect Thaddeus Serabo. Architect, you're welcome to the program this morning on ITV.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, gentlemen, let's go to the basis. Perhaps let's just quickly watch this report as we further set the table for the discussion this morning.
In Bayelsa State, there was impressive turnout of voters who accredited with the use of card readers and subsequently cast their votes. Access to St. Paul, the community of the PDP governorship candidate Senator Donyediri, was difficult because of flood problem, but he was able to vote after INEC officials ferried materials to the community. The Accord party candidate, Ebizimo Diriya, also cast his vote in Ward 5 in Kayama.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, should invoke their powers of either not accepting cooked-up results or where materials have been hijacked. We call on the security agencies to be alive to their duties and not to take sides. Let them be professional in their conduct. Let them be neutral so that the elections will be credible.
What I seen in Kayama is free, it's fair, everywhere is calm, no crisis, no fighting. It's one family. All we want is just for us to vote and vote a candidate to come and rule our state. I'm very convinced I'm going to win. Bayelsa will vote for me for transformation.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan and his wife cast their votes in Otuoke. The former president expressed disappointment over the delay in the arrival and commencement of the exercise in his polling units.
I was here, no INEC officials to conduct the elections, no security personnel to manage the elections, no journalists to observe the elections because there's only one online media house that I met, no single observer that I met here. Even the voters were not here. I've never observed that in any African country. So we Nigerians must begin to look inward and ask ourselves, what is our problem?
Meanwhile, INEC blamed the delay in commencement of the election in some parts of Bayelsa State on activities of thugs.
It has been generally peaceful and smooth, where we have 13 RAs, and my sense is that things are going on smoothly in most of the places. Of course, we have had one or two incidents on Loibe and a number of other places, but generally I say that it's been peaceful.
In Kogi State, Governor Yahaya Bello and other governorship candidates, who include SDP Natasha Akbuti, cast their votes in the morning after accreditation by INEC officials.
Exercise so far, and I hope that it is going to end in praise. And the good people of Kogi State will have more confidence in the umpire, the security agencies, and in the whole process.
I was accredited right, well, my card read right, and my thumbprint recognized right. What happened was the INEC officer ticked the Presidential National Assembly box as against the governorship box.
In the legislative election for Kogi West senatorial seat, APC candidate Smart Adeyemi and PDP candidate Dino Melaye also cast their votes. 45 political parties participated in the governorship election in Bayelsa State, while 23 political parties participated in Kogi State governorship election. Ikmomosa Ugiagbe reporting.
All right, thank you so much, Konsa Ogiagbe, for that report there. We had to show you to actually see what happened yesterday in the two states, Kogi and Bayelsa states. And it's all the same story, the same reports of violence, you know, trailing the elections in these two states. Well, as we discuss this topic this morning, these issues this morning, the very big question that we tend to ask is Nigeria really ready? How come we still have reports of violence here or there in our elections? Gentlemen, you're welcome one more time. You're welcome. I don't know how you would like to react to the reports, even as we expect the results from these two states. Our elections are still mad with violence. Former Sister Oyeki.
It's very disheartening that at this point in our political history, these are the same things we keep talking about. It is not really about who emerges victorious at the end of the exercise. It's the process. A credible process that people can draw inspirations on. A process that people can look forward to and say, well, we the people did this. And whatever level of performance we experience from who we have chosen is not bad. But in this case, what we keep experiencing is desperation from the political class, you know, looking to take over power by force. They don't even prepare for elections. They prepare for war. You know, what is INEC doing? Colluding and collaborating. What are security agencies doing? Colluding and collaborating. Everybody has a mindset. We are going to deliver that man, that party, at all costs. So, if it takes violence, when you see some of these things happening, when the tours come from their various places, you see policemen right there. Watch it. Because they are all being, the script has been given to them. And we just cannot continue like this. We just cannot continue as a country. We can't continue. Then look at this, the National Assembly. They play lip service to the issue of, you know, a sanitized electoral process, a sane electoral process that will throw up great leaders because the benefit from the sorry process that, you know, that we currently have. So look at before the last election, because the Senate was not in tandem on issues with the president, they quickly evolved electronic voting. I mean, the system of voting that could make our election more credible. But today, the Senate of today, they're not talking about those things because those are some of the things we must employ to guide against violence. People lose their lives just to choose leaders. I don't know how these things appear to the rest of the world. It's so pathetic. That's where I want to stop for now. Okay.
Now, Architect Irabo, when we look at the two states, Bayelsa and Kogi states, particularly in Kogi states, some people actually envisaged that, look, the election was going to be something that you cannot tell because of the political developments in the states, how the deputy governor was impeached, and of course how at times in some cases, in some fora, how the governor was booed out of elections and all that. Now, don't you think that the security agencies would have prepared adequately rather than for us reporting the story this way today?
It's rather unfortunate that we are at this point in this country. What we would have thought that would have been moving forward, we're actually moving 20 steps backward. With all the political development that we saw, like the Natasha woman that was beaten, her secretariat burnt, those were things that would have made the Nigerian police more prepared. We saw a lot of mobilization. I actually traveled through that route on Thursday, saw a lot of police, and I thought things would have been done differently. But all of a sudden, I started seeing the CTU commander, Superintendent Aminu Mohammed with the governor to handle the election. But all of a sudden, yesterday we saw police helicopter, flying around units where that is perceived to be PDP zone, throwing tear gases to drive away the voters, and ballot papers being carted away. See, things have changed. You don't need to go with studio camera to video. We have video clips everywhere. With even your phone, things are being covered. it is a shame that Nigeria at this time we are still doing the election like this. The election has become a do or die affair. That if we don't get it at all costs, you know how many people have lost their life. Innocent people that came to exercise their fundamental human rights are being killed for nothing, because for the quest of power. It is unfortunate that even the president have not even issued any statement concerning this, because it's appalling. I can't even imagine how the international community will see Nigeria with this kind of election that is going on in Bayelsa and Kogi State, just 2 states. But I won't also blame the police, because even if you check the election guidelines, you study democracy, they will tell you is that the INEC person that will tell police who to arrest during election, that policeman should not go to the field with guns. You see police carrying baton during election, when you know in this part of the world is all about desperation. Police, if you look at Kogi, you see that police were actually escort thugs with guns. They will shoot, the thug will go and pick the ballot box and they will cut away with it. It is, no, I can't express it. Nigeria have gone 20 years backward. If this is how Wada ran against
Nigeria has not gone 20 years
if this is how Wada ran against Abdu, that Bello benefited, I don't think Bello would have been governor today. If this is how Jonathan ran the election against Buhari in 2015, I don't think President Buhari would have been the president.
Yeah, but I think we have to exercise.
Things have actually changed. They've taken us to that dark ages where election will be going on. Somebody will just come pack ballot boxes. Right now, a lot of INEC staff are missing right now. They are being compared to signed results that were pre-written, not the one at the polling unit.
Well, those are allegations.
It's not an allegation. You can see everything that is happening. We have video clips of all these things. We must not shy away from the truth. We must tell ourselves the truth if we want this country to move forward.
Okay. Now, architecture, pharmacist Oyi Oreke. Now, before this election, we saw a development in Bayelsa State. At a point, we understand that David Leon, the APC candidate, who eventually became the APC candidate, was declared not to be qualified for the election simply because of the controversial credentials that he submitted. As a matter of fact, the case even went to the court, and the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt had to rule that that he cannot run for that election, nor that the APC cannot feature in that election. And of course, that became a very big issue. Now, some people say that it was because of the desperation of some of these politicians that resulted into the violence. Why some say that no, it was because of the desperation of even the voters. The voters were desperate that, look, I must vote in this person. This person is my choice. So how do we marry these two scenarios together that actually culminated into the violence that we're reporting now?
Well, 2 months prior to that, this time, there was an independent body that did a study on the security states in both Kogi and Bayelsa states. They came out with a very clear report that violence will erupt in this area. And they even
on what basis?
Oh, they were looking at the hate speeches that were coming from some of those areas and the kind of rivalry that was existing even amongst the people themselves. Then they pinpointed areas in these 2 states where this violence are more prone to happen. So I read this report, I watched this report being read on television, and I went ahead to read it. I've forgotten the name of the independent body that did these studies now. And it has nothing really to do with the proclamation of the High Court at that late part of the, that was about 3 days ago, thereabout.
No, but last week.
So, you see, it has nothing to do with that. These people have been warming up. The report was supposed to guide the security agents and the authorities on where to fix their gaze and where to put their attention so that these things will not erupt. But like I told you before, Evans, there is this collusion, unspoken collusion, which could just be to the extent of fold your hands and
collusion from on the part of
security agents, because they will just fold
colluding with
the ruling party.
But you have evidence to say that.
No, we may not have direct evidence.
But so if you don't have evidence,
but there's collusion, and it is more probable that it's between the party in power and the security agency, because they just look at them why they do this thing that they do. Now, if you have a report prior to an election, 2 months prior to election, that violence is going to erupt here and there. In fact, there are certain things you will put in place long before the date of the election that will make violence very unattractive to those who are looking to inflict it on the people. You know, as for wanting to look at it, whether the people themselves, they were so anxious and desperate. Well, everybody has a right on who to make a choice. This is the person I want to be the governor of this state. And you can even be passionate about it. There's nothing wrong in that. But if you're actually giving a good environment to express yourself, you will not resort to violence. But those who resort to violence are those who have the power to pay for violence, who have the power to hire these people. Some of them, you know, there was an election that happened, the last election. We heard that persons were being transported from here to another state.
Akwa Ibom.
Akwa Ibom State. They were being transported from here to Akwa Ibom State to unleash mayhem on voters. They were caught on the way. Now, that could have happened there too. People will be transported from somewhere to unleash mayhem on the people so that they influence what the outcome of the election will eventually be.
Okay. Now, Architect, let's look at some of the build-up to the election. By the way, I think it's also pertinent for us to mention here the 2 parties that we have so many, about 21 political parties, 25 political parties that contested in the 2 states with their governorship candidates as well as running mates. But for the sake of emphasis, we wish to emphasize that the PDP and the All Progressives Congress for these 2 states. Now, the candidate that contested for Bayelsa State under the platform of the PDP is known by Senator Doye Diri, while we have David Leon, the candidates for the APC, and of course in Kogi State, Yaya Bello of the All Progressives Congress contested against Musa Atayi Wada of the People's Democratic Party. Now, gentlemen, let's look at Kogi State one more time. Architect Rabo. Now, we understand that prior to the election, there was a campaign that some big political bigwigs in the All Progressives Congress had to knelt down in the presence of, the electorate to actually plead, as a matter of fact, allegations that our own deputy governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, was also part of those people that knelt down. It's an allegation that they knelt down to plead with the electorate, not to vote for them necessarily, but to make sure that the election should be devoid of blood, not to be characterized by violence. But how come we still have this now?
Maybe you didn't see the clip. The clip was not to say, don't go and fight. They said, let me quote Erufai categorically. He said, Yaya Bello is a young man. He has made a lot of mistakes, and he will learn from it. I am kneeling down. Give him another chance. Not for you not to go and fight.
No, but that really does not presuppose.
No, see, kneeling down will not pay people's salary. If you like kneel down for 1 year, that's not the business of the Kogi people. The Kogi people, they were waiting for this opportunity to change their lives. You can't hold people for so many months and you are coming to bring people to kneel down for you. That doesn't work. We must change. We can't consolidate on failure. As a country, we have seen the hardship that we are presently going through. Nobody should come and cajole people by kneeling down. That didn't even work. You can see video clips that people are saying, this election don't be civil war. I can play it here. Are we fighting civil war? You see gunshots everywhere because they knew there is no way they can ever get votes from the Kogi people. So they decided, okay, if INEC is doing their own, the police is helping us, they are going about their business, maybe we'll get something at the end of the day. But the election should not be a do or die affair. Okay. We must discourage it at all costs so that at the end of the day, our children will have, you cannot sit down and say, okay, I want A or B to be the governor of this state. And people will know that vote actually counts. This is the same thing that discourages a lot of people from going out. Because you'll be passionate about going to change the system. And the system will not resist it by forcing somebody on you. And that is why people don't perform. As long as they know they are in the good book or the ruling party, they can do and undo. Because they know at the end of the day, the people which will never stand. As long as they have INEC, which is an extension of the APC, they have the police, because they determine who becomes the IG. The country should even change. I think we need institutional reform. Okay. Where the IG of police is not determined by the president. An institution should throw up a body that it should go with. It's totally independent from the political class. That is the only way we'll get free and fair election, where the INEC chairman is not elected by the president. Because you
the president does not elect the INEC chairman. They are subject to
in this country. Let's not shy away from the truth. He nominates for ratification for Senate to go. So we must change the system where INEC is totally independent. That is not dependent on the government in power.
Okay. Now, let's, pharmacists, now in Ayetiro, I think that's where the senator representing a constituency in Kogi State voted his constituency. Now, some polling units were being reported not to have received, ballots, materials, ballot papers, and all that on time. Now, this has become an issue that the Independent National Electoral Commission looks as if they cannot handle. I mean, late arrival of materials. What's going on?
It is not as if they cannot handle it. It's part of the strategies.
Well, you cannot say so. You don't work for the INEC, so...
Well, Evans, I've contested an election before. I have a right to air my views the way I see it. You see, it's strategic. Kogi? Is Kogi in Niger Republic? All materials can get to the point you want them to get to on time, if you want them to happen. We know when they start disbursing voting materials. When we participated in an election, late in the night, materials were still being transported within the local government. It's stationed in the local government. They transport it to the various places of voting. Yeah. But within 2-3 hours, everything is there. But when you strategically employ means to undo your opponents, this do or die approach is what we are talking about. Then we also heard that from that the polling unit where this so-called senator even voted. Immediately he left. After a while, thugs ran into that place. Invaded it because the votes there will favor him. So the strategy you can tell is, let us attack areas where he can have popular votes. So we count the areas where the other man will have popular votes and, manipulate the rest to declare victory for this person. They used to say it in their parlance, we will do it, let them go to court. We will do it, let them go to court. And it takes the grace of God for you to win such court cases, because a lot of procedural manipulation will continue to take place long after the elections. And you are just there shouting and complaining why they are doing what they are doing. So that is it. It comes down to that same thing, desperation for power. Now the question we should ask ourselves, why are we so desperate for power? Evans, let me tell you, desperation for power. Go to the motor parks, chairman of a park. They are desperate for power, even at that point. Go to the streets, or John Way, youth leader, they are desperate for power. Desperation for power is something that is in us. But why is it in us? So when we get to that point of the governorship, House of Assembly, presidency, it becomes more, the stake becomes higher, and the desperation also grows with it. And this is what you get. Now, a man who has refused to perform for 4 years, everybody documented, he did not perform. They gave him a ticket as a party. What do you think they were getting set for? He did not perform. We know he didn't perform. The people in the state cried that this man did not perform. But when they were doing their nomination, their primaries, they gave him a ticket. Why did they give him a ticket? And they wanted to win the state. The only way they can win the state is to unleash mayhem on the people, manipulate the process, and have their way. That's what just happened in Kogi. We are not declared the result, but I'm not a prophet. We already know what is going to happen there.
Okay. Now, the electoral bill, it's, the 2017-2018 electoral amendment bill that was not eventually signed by the president would have probably taken care of some of these issues. But some people still say that there are still aspects of that electoral act as it stands now. That's the substantive electoral acts by which the INEC conducts election with in Nigeria today. Talking about situations whereby centers where violence are being reported, it now behoves on INEC to cancel results from those centers. What some political analysts say that this is something that politicians have taken undue advantage of. Now, when they find that their opponents are leading in those places, they cause mayhem because they know that eventually INEC will cancel the election. Are all this not also responsible for the kind of violence that we record in our elections?
Anyways, even when you're talking about cancellation and all that, my people will always say, now poor man mess, like this smell for gathering. I'll give you an example. During the last House of Assembly election in my own constituency, election was going smoothly. It was clear that the PDP candidate was going to win this election. At the end, collation have started in different areas. We were already leading with about 300 and something votes. And there was a place where they had vote that would make it just seven. But if they count that our own, where the former chairman comes from, I'll mention his name, Samobu, where he's from. If they count that place, PDP will win with over 170 something votes. Immediately, our election have been counted, sorted.
Concluded
as they were writing, he just came, jumped on the bus, scattered it, tore everything.
Who did that?
The former chairman. He tore everything and he left. And at the end of the day, we went to the collation center. When we got there, we said, this election, since this place was cancelled, we'll do a rerun. Because
I will not let you say that because he was not here to defend. So I'll take that as an allegation.
Yes, I just gave you a scenario. Yeah. They were now leading us with 23 votes. With that 50-something that we already had, that would have covered, and our candidate would have won. With that thing that happened, we said, INEC, you are not going to announce this result.
Yeah, the reason why I'm bringing this...
Just wait, I said from Osun zone, any place that there is violence, they'll do a rerun before you announce result. So don't declare anybody winner because it's clear. Even the INEC chairman on his own result said, they attacked me. That was what he wrote, violence, and I was attacked. That was what was in that unit. We said, since this thing is on here and we have proof that this guy fought there, why don't you let's go and conduct election in that unit before you declare result? Said he was going to make calls after everything he declared him.
Now the reason why
there was no rerun. So that's what I'm saying. The ruling class will always use this law to favor themselves.
Okay.
But in the case of Osun, when those violence came, they stopped the collation. They said they should go and do election in that place where they meted mayhem on PDP agents and the rest. Now youth leaders were killed at that process before they announced the Osun election. That's why I'm saying there is this double standard in this country right now. If it doesn't favor the ruling party, that means they will follow the law to the letters. If it favors them, we wave the law away. These are precedents that we must discourage. We must discourage this thing because even if President Buhari had assented to that electoral act, we won't have this. If we are transmitting results via electronic transmission, we won't have this. If you cut away with ballot post, who will transfer this result to the collation center? Okay. That's automatic cancellation. All right. We can't have double standards. So if we are ready for change, we should do it.
Okay. All right, viewers out there, the program is still This Morning on ITV, on independent television. We'll quickly take a short pause now. Please stay tuned.
Hello there, my name is FX the Entertainer, and I'm here to introduce to you the door-to-door delivery service in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria, OrionExpress.com.ng. Guess what? Whether it's hotel bookings, airport pickups, food or drinks delivery, whatever delivery you want around Edo State, Nigeria, we'll get it to you at your doorstep, and it's very affordable. And of course, we are time conscious. Just log on to www.orionexpress.com.ng and you'll be glad you did. I especially recommend it, and I know that you'll be glad when you go through our website. Our details are on your screen, and guess what? We would make sure that you smile at every delivery. www.orionexpress.com.ng. Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much. The program's still much alive here on independent television, and I'm still looking at the Kogi and Bayelsa state elections in retrospect. Gentlemen, you're welcome one more time.
Thank you.
Now, the issues that for the two states is perhaps something that Edo State is going to learn from, because by next year precisely, we're going to be having our own election here. But don't you think, if you go through the social media now, you'll find results, political parties, early lead and all that. That's for the social media results, going on. But we are waiting the INEC, that is the Independent National Electoral Commission, that has the constitutional right to release the results. So how do you think that supporters can, how should they be, reacting to some of these results now?
Like, I have the little experience I had during the last governorship election, not this very one, because we discovered that some individuals just decided to churn out results. And even during the 2015 general
that
election,
emanates from nowhere?
Yeah, they just churn out results and misleading results. You really have to be careful. But still, there are some sites you go to and you know that these persons are coming out with the authentic results. Then again, what some of us also did, there were persons...
I think the word authentic now becomes questionable, because...
eventually when you see the spread of the results...
the reports are, what I'm even trying to say is that you find that results are being collated, centers, units to units and all that. People have results in their phones and all that. And before you know it, they do their calculations. But on the other side, we have results coming from INEC, and that sets another pace for violence and reactions.
No. We are also encouraged to capture our results wherever you vote. Results are written out, and you are encouraged to capture these results and send it wherever you wish to send it. It is also part of what you will look out for when INEC finally brings out its entire results.
Yeah.
It is to safeguard manipulations and all of that. So I think the people should react by being very proactive, ensuring that they are participants. Of course, that's why you send thugs to these places to also disperse them, so that eventually they do not know what is happening. But the people should be proactive and be involved, so that they will not always have their way every point of the way. But when we draw that to Edo elections, you will agree with me that the spate of violence that greets election in some other parts of the country, those states does not have such huge records of violence, especially in the metropolis. You have spates of violence in the hinterlands and all of that, where the politicians go to manipulate results and come out with high figures and all that. But if you take a look at the last election in Igor, Bubauha, Oredo, it went one way, and it described the pulse of the people at that point in time. The people just wanted to vote against a particular party because of the prevailing circumstances they were experiencing. So all of that don't take place in Edo State. So in Edo, and these areas also are the areas where we have the largest number of block votes coming out in the metropolis. So in Edo, we are not really associated with it so much. But yet, the stakes right now, leading to that election, certain happenings, we should begin to anticipate.
That was in Edo State.
In Edo State. We should begin to anticipate that if things are not brought under control between now and then it will not be wrong to predict that such scenario may also come to play out. You understand? But I just pray that the politicians within these clans are matured enough, to chart a course that will help everybody leading to that election. If they apply their normal desperation, well, we just pray it doesn't get to that point.
All right, so architect, lessons to be learned from Kogi and Edo States. I mean, Kogi and Bayelsa States as related to Edo States.
There's nothing that can be done differently, except I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the president that he should sign the electoral law. That is the only way that Nigeria can move forward. That is the only way Edo will be free from crisis also. Because if there is electronic voting If I vote at the comfort of this and the result is read at the collation center, why will police come and disturb me? How will talk come and steal ballot paper? And these things, they waste funds. Printing all those ballot sheets, mobilizing police, mobilizing INEC, we would have reduced it. Go to developed country. This is what they do. What is holding us back from doing this? Is it because some persons are benefiting from this whole thing? That's why people that print the bogus budget are being given to INEC and they are making money from it. We should learn how to cut costs and move this country forward. Nigeria is broke as we stand right now. We can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. Without electronic voting, this thing is going to be like this in this hour, especially with the crew, with the crew administrator right now that is happening, that doesn't have respect for anything. We must also define the role of the security agent.
Well,
we must define the role of the
INEC. Have respect for anything.
But that is the truth. Where is Sore today? Where is Dasuki today? The court have granted these people bail.
Yeah, but the issue of Sore.
When you have a president that has a direction, a president that knows that, okay, rule of law must be respected. It's different from when you have somebody that was a military general on Agbada right now, that still treats Nigeria as if we're in a military regime.
No, that's not correct.
Because that is why you will see police running at the election center with guns, chasing voters.
Yeah,
it is annoying.
But that's your opinion.
That we still have a president. It's not my opinion.
No, it is. You can't speak.
Except you are not watching the news. Even
I don't watch the news, but you can't speak.
You were playing
you can't speak for people.
When you were playing the clip, you saw police coming and everybody, they were shooting, people ran away. You said, not be ballot boards that they carry just. You just showed it right now. Why? See, if we don't tell ourselves the truth, we'll be doing a great injustice to our children yet unborn. And to this
I agree totally with you.
Yeah,
you see the way they are pursuing the issue of hate speech bill.
Yes. Why don't you say electoral violence? If they catch you, they'll hang you.
Let them pursue Electoral Act law.
But the hate speech bill, gentlemen, I think we also need to exercise patience because it's possible that hate speech bill may even be something that will protect you and I. I mean, it will protect me from not speaking hate speech against you.
How? When the APC wrote on hate speech,
so put the cart before the horse. Let us not put the cart before the horse.
All right, so
the greatest challenge we have right now is what to do with our electoral process.
Beautiful
to give
question.
It sanity.
All right, beautiful question. And perhaps that would be something that almost all of us all must begin to think about and work on so that we can have beautiful elections devoid of crisis, violence here and there, the way it's done, somewheres. Gentlemen, just 1 minute each from you.
Well, it's the way to go. Because when we begin to churn out the wrong kind of leaders, and we do expect our country to change, we are living in fool's paradise.
Okay, all right, architect now.
I think with the way things are going, where the citizens are not free to choose whosoever that govern them, Nigeria is as good as doomed.
If I say you cannot say so
because
again, the last election, did you not vote?
Okay.
Did you vote?
Okay, yes, I did.
Did your candidate win?
No, he didn't.
But you voted?
Yes, I voted.
So why will you say
okay, well, because it didn't count.
choose?
It didn't count.
No, for the fact that your vote did not count.
No, there was already predetermined result.
Oh, what makes your vote to count? Is the fact that your candidate wins?
No.
So what makes your vote to count?
No, it's when there is fairness, when there is equity, that okay, truly votes were counted, and this guy won, and it was announced. Not that you won in my polling unit.
Anyway,
but when it gets to the INEC office, another person wins.
Let's
and you told me that was fair.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Please extend the handshake to architect now. All right, we'll take a short pause now. As just like we said, we need to patiently wait for the National Electoral Commission, INEC. I mean, the Independent National Electoral Commission to, tell us the results, who wins and who did not win in the Kogi and Bayelsa election. This idea of, trying to make up the results here and there is not going to help any person because we do not have the statutory right to produce any results. Well, let's take a short pause now to join Dr. Engineer Brightens Ogimoyi this morning. Please stay tuned.